story of classic American cars hidden away for decades in barns, garages, and forgotten sheds never seems to get old. Every year, new discoveries surface. Vehicles that once ruled the open highways of America, then slowly disappeared from sight as time passed and newer models took their place. Sometimes they were parked intentionally by owners who planned to restore them one day but never found the time. Other times they were simply retired after years of loyal service and left to rest quietly out of the weather. The fascination surrounding these discoveries continues to captivate enthusiasts and collectors alike, because every forgotten car holds a story waiting to be rediscovered. One such example has recently come back into the spotlight. A 1959 Cadillac Series 6200 that spent more than 30 years sitting quietly inside a shed before finally being offered for sale. Cars like this capture the imagination in a way that few modern vehicles can. When a classic automobile emerges after decades of storage, it's almost like opening a time capsule. Layers of dust, faded paint, and the scent of old leather hint at another era. A time when automotive design was bold, optimistic, and full of personality. The 1959 Cadillac Series 6200 represents one of the most iconic moments in American automotive history, when designers pushed creativity to its limits and created vehicles that were as much works of art as they were transportation. Finding one that has remained hidden for so long only adds to its mystique. The Cadillac Series 6200 traces its lineage back to the well-known Series 62 line, a model family that first appeared in the early 1940s. For decades, the Series 62 served as one of Cadillac's most recognizable and successful vehicles, bridging the gap between luxury and everyday usability. By the time the late 1950s arrived, the Series 62 had evolved into a refined, powerful, and stylish machine that symbolized prosperity and progress in post-war America. The sixth generation of the series, which included the 1959 model year, represented one of the final chapters before the lineup was reorganized and renamed in the mid-1960s. During the late 1950s, the automotive world was undergoing a dramatic transformation. Designers were heavily influenced by the excitement surrounding aviation and the dawn of the jet age. Fighter planes and commercial jetliners captured the imagination of the public, and car designers eagerly borrowed elements from these futuristic machines. Tailfins, sweeping body lines, and chrome accents became defining characteristics of American cars during this period. Among all manufacturers, Cadillac arguably embraced this design philosophy more boldly than anyone else. The 1959 Cadillac stands as the ultimate expression of this trend. Its enormous rear fins, which rise dramatically from the back of the car, remain one of the most recognizable automotive styling features ever created. These fins were not merely decorative. They represented the spirit of innovation and technological optimism that defined the era. The design looked forward to the future, suggesting speed, progress, and modernity even when the car was standing still. The fins tapered into sharp edges that seemed to slice through the air, giving the vehicle an unmistakable silhouette that could be recognized from blocks away. For many enthusiasts, the 1959 Cadillac represents the pinnacle of Cadillac design. While later models would grow larger and more powerful, they often lacked the distinctive personality that made the late 1950s models so memorable. The combination of flowing lines, dramatic fins, and balanced proportions created a vehicle that perfectly captured the spirit of its time. It was bold without being awkward, extravagant without losing its sense of elegance. Underneath its flamboyant exterior, the Series 6200 shared its basic architecture with other large luxury cars produced by General Motors during that era. The car rode on the C-body platform, a full-size chassis that was also used by other prestigious models such as the Buick Electra and the Oldsmobile 98. While these vehicles shared structural components, Cadillac engineers ensured that the Series 6200 offered its own unique driving experience. The suspension was tuned to deliver the smooth, floating ride that Cadillac owners expected, allowing the car to glide effortlessly over rough roads. Powering the 1959 Series 6200 was a robust 390 cubic inch V8 engine, which translates to approximately 6.4 liters in modern terms. This large displacement engine produced an impressive 325 horsepower, an extraordinary figure for its time. In an era when many cars still relied on smaller engines with far less output, the Cadillac's V8 represented a serious step forward in performance and engineering. For buyers seeking even more power, Cadillac offered an optional upgrade associated with the prestigious Eldorado package, increasing the engine's output to 345 horsepower. It's important to remember that horsepower figures from that era were measured differently than today. The engines were typically tested without accessories such as alternators, exhaust systems, or air filters attached. This method, known as gross horsepower measurement, often resulted in numbers that appeared higher than what modern testing would produce. Even so, the massive torque generated by the Cadillac's V8 provided impressive real-world performance. Despite weighing well over 5,000 pounds when fully loaded with passengers and luggage, the big Cadillac could accelerate to 60 miles per hour in roughly 10 seconds, a respectable figure for such a large luxury vehicle. Performance, however, was never the primary focus of a Cadillac. What truly set these cars apart was their sense of luxury and refinement. Step inside a 1959 Cadillac, and you were greeted by a world of comfort and sophistication. The interior featured generous amounts of polished chrome, soft leather upholstery, and elegant trim pieces that reflected Cadillac's commitment to craftsmanship. Wide bench seats allowed passengers to stretch out and enjoy the ride, while the spacious cabin created a sense of openness rarely found in modern vehicles. Outside, the Cadillac's presence was equally impressive. Acres of chrome adorned the bumpers, grille, and trim, catching the sunlight and creating a dazzling display of reflections. White wall tires added an extra touch of elegance, emphasizing the car's length and graceful proportions. When parked along a curb or pulling into a driveway, the 1959 Cadillac commanded attention in a way few cars ever have. During its original era, owning a Cadillac signified success. It was a symbol of achievement and status, often associated with business leaders, celebrities, and individuals who had reached a certain level of prosperity. Driving a Cadillac wasn't just about transportation, it was about making a statement. The car represented confidence, style, and the promise of a bright future. The particular example now appearing for sale carries an especially interesting story. According to its history, this 1959 Cadillac Series 6200 was parked in a shed sometime during the mid-1980s. For more than 3 decades, it remained hidden from public view, covered and protected from the elements. While time inevitably left its mark, the fact that the car spent those years sheltered indoors likely saved it from the worst kinds of deterioration. When classic cars sit outside for extended periods, they often suffer severe damage from weather exposure. Rain, sunlight, and fluctuating temperatures can wreak havoc on paint, upholstery, and mechanical components. Rust can spread rapidly, glass may crack, and rodents sometimes make their homes inside the vehicle. In contrast, a car stored inside a shed often survives in far better condition, even if it still requires extensive restoration work. In the case of this Cadillac, the exterior paint now shows its age. The once glossy finish appears faded and rough in places, a natural result of decades without proper care or maintenance. Yet the overall structure of the car remains intact. The glass windows are still in place, with no obvious chips or cracks visible. There are no clear signs of major accidents or structural damage, which is always encouraging for collectors considering a restoration project. Perhaps most surprisingly, there are no obvious signs of rodents or pests that sometimes inhabit long-stored vehicles. Anyone who has attempted to restore a barn-find car knows how frustrating it can be to deal with nests, chewed wiring, and other evidence of animal intrusion. The absence of these issues suggests that the car's long-term storage conditions may have been relatively stable. For restoration enthusiasts, vehicles like this represent both a challenge and an opportunity. Bringing a classic car back to life requires patience, dedication, and a deep appreciation for automotive history. Mechanical systems must be carefully inspected and rebuilt. Rusted panels may need to be repaired or replaced. Interior materials might require full restoration to match their original appearance. Yet for those willing to invest the time and effort, the reward is the chance to preserve an important piece of automotive heritage. The 1959 Cadillac, in particular, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. Its dramatic styling and historical significance make it one of the most recognizable cars ever produced. Even people who are not dedicated car enthusiasts often recognize the distinctive fins and bold design of this model. Because of this enduring popularity, restored examples frequently command strong prices in the collector car market. Restoration projects also allow enthusiasts to connect with the craftsmanship of the past. Working on a car like this provides insight into the engineering techniques and design philosophies of a different era. It's a reminder that automobiles were once built with a different set of priorities, where visual drama and comfort often mattered as much as efficiency and practicality. As this long-hidden Cadillac reappears on the market, it joins a growing list of rediscovered classics that have emerged from storage in recent years. These discoveries remind us that countless vintage vehicles may still be waiting to be found, quietly resting in garages, barns, and sheds across the country. Each one represents a piece of history that has survived the passage of time. For collectors, finding a car that has remained largely untouched for decades can be particularly exciting. Unlike vehicles that have been modified or restored multiple times, a long-stored example often retains many of its original components. This authenticity can make the restoration process more rewarding and can also increase the vehicle's value once completed. Of course, restoring a classic Cadillac from this era is no small undertaking. The sheer size of the car means that replacement parts, body panels, and trim pieces can be expensive and sometimes difficult to locate. However, the strong community of Cadillac enthusiasts and the availability of reproduction parts make the process more manageable than it might first appear. Ultimately, the story of this 1959 Cadillac Series 6200 is a testament to the enduring appeal of classic American automobiles. Even after decades of inactivity, the car still carries the spirit of the era in which it was built. Its bold styling, powerful engine, and luxurious design continue to capture the imagination of anyone who appreciates automotive history. What once sat quietly in a shed, forgotten by the outside world, now has the chance to begin a new chapter. With the right owner and a careful restoration, this Cadillac could once again glide down the road as it did more than 60 years ago, its towering fins slicing through the air and its chrome surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. In many ways, that possibility is what makes barn find stories so compelling. They remind us that history is never truly gone. It's simply waiting to be rediscovered. And sometimes, all it takes is opening the door to an old shed to bring a legend back to life.